right, let's go into Flexology. Let's get some stuff going here. So Flexology is our way every single week to dive into Ruby. And this week, I want to jump into the way to create stunning visuals with Ruby Virtual Studio. Guys, this is going to be so fun when we have so many more capabilities. I mean, it's just like crazy what you can do. If you can think about just a year ago, for some of you it was a week ago. In fact, for some of you, it might have been an hour ago that you didn't understand that you can go and create unbelievable images with just a few words. And that's just kind of mind-blowing when you start to think about it. I know that Corey and I have spent probably at least a month of our life looking for images in stock photo piles. And it's like, that's a month I would have rather done anything. There's nothing worse than having to go through and look for images. Well, maybe themes. Between the two, the themes, and it's just like so hard to get on. And so that when you understand what you can do with this, it blows your mind. And that's one of the things that we've seen when people have just started coming on, they go in, they start to play with this. And I think you guys can all put in here the word that I'm going to try. I'm not going to say the word, Corey. I'm going to make them put it in the chat just to be a little interactive here this morning. What do you call a person that can't stop doing something? Like you see it all the time. They get in and now they're running out of credits because they just can't stop. In fact, it's not even new people. James Smith might be the most, I didn't say the word, person on creating images ever. And I think he might even bring Sonia with him or with her. I mean, it's like crazy. Yes, they're addicted. And it's crazy because it's so fun. And I love the fact that people get it because they get really good. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And the more that you understand which platforms are doing certain things and how you talk to each one, these are amazing when you start to figure it out. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to walk you through how to create stunning visuals with some very basic things that you need to start with when you start to go in and start building images. So let's start with the first one, is understanding the basics of just what it is, that different models do different prompting. And what I mean is, like, when you look at DALL-E 3, it can be more verbose. It can be more of a storyteller. It can be a lot more than what you would need to do, let's say, for Mid-Journey. It'd be a lot different when you're using Stable Diffusion. It's a lot different than when you're using Leonardo. These are all different ways that you're doing the prompting, and you'll get comfortable with one, and then you can go and do the other. Now, the other thing is that creating great images is a process. It's not very likely that you're just going to sit down and knock it out with the very first time, okay? There's a process. And in this process, you just kind of know that you're going to end up going maybe 3, maybe 4 times to get what you're wanting to do. So I like to try to get stuff done with DALL-E 3 first, so I can kind of understand what my prompts are going to do. But they're very different in how they talk about things and how I would prompt them. So I go in and I'll go in with a simple process of knowing I'm going to probably spend 2 or 3 image creations to get where I want to go. And at some point in time, you might just not get there because there's limitations when it comes to creating images. How many people, and I just know that I don't even have to ask Corey. I just know. I mean, I actually had someone complain in the stuff with Corey the other day about, I need my money back because it created a third leg on my image. Guys, AI is not perfect. AI is a process and it has weaknesses. And so if you can't deal with that, then I would say don't do it, because you're probably going to end up with 5 fingers or no thumbs, or maybe Ruby spelled the wrong way, even though you put it in there to be that way. That's just part of AI. It's not perfect. It's still in its infancy of doing things like this, and it's amazing what you can do. I mean, it's crazy to me that people get so upset because they spent a credit to get something that had a third leg, and it's like, yeah, but I didn't have to spend 20 hours and I didn't spend $40 to get 10 credits over at Adobe Stock, right? And so this is the great thing about it. It's a process. Understanding, if you go in understanding it's a process, then it doesn't really end up being a big problem. Okay, you can kind of go through the process and understand that this is what it takes to get great images. Now, that doesn't mean that you do that for every image. If you're trying to really do something incredible, then you're just going to have to go through the process. Now, there's a lot of times if I want to do a quick social media post, we're going to get it done in one try, 2 tries maybe. That's it. So we're going to talk about how you can get better in the prompting. And the best one to do is to start with simple prompting. Don't try to make this big, long thing. Start with something simple. And then from there, we can start to expand on it. So let's talk about exploring prompts. So number one, you want to experiment with a variety of prompts when you're starting to go there. And you're going to find what's really great. And, try prompts that spark some creativity with you. Like if you're trying to create an image that is going to be eye-catching and you're going to stop, like everybody is like, oh, I'm not going to quit scrolling because I'm going to see this image, then start with something crazy. Like I want a floating cityscape. Okay, well, that doesn't really mean anything, but it will get my creative juices thinking because it's going to create something where I can start from. Now, if you don't want a city, obviously don't do that. You want to put something that's around what you're creating, right? But go out and be a little bit more experimental with trying something crazy at the very beginning because it opens up the creativity of where you're going to go. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to try to do. The second thing that you can do is you can start to combine prompts. So mix and match prompts together so that you even get more creative and engaging images that come out. So maybe I will do something like a floating cityscape, but I also want to put in a flying fox. All right, just something stupid just to kind of get my point across, but a floating cityscape and a flying cartoon fox. Okay, so this is what I have. No, I'm not going to use any of these. And in fact, I like to actually look at how different things are as well, because at least the cool cityscape is pretty cool. I can actually maybe do something with that and take my fox out. And by the way, in version 2, if you don't like that fox, but you like the rest of it, you can just take the fox out. That's how cool that's going to be. But if I do this in DALL-E 3 with the same prompt, I'm going to get something very, very different. Extremely different. Look how much different that is. So yeah, I got a great little fox character, but it doesn't really have the cityscape. So everything, oh my gosh, Corey, I just saw that. Get the fox out of here. That's hilarious. All right, so this is the difference between what you're going to get with the different models. Now, when you bring Leonardo in, you're going to be able to have even more connections. When you have stable diffusion, SDXL, you're going to be able to do even more things. Like these are the things that you just keep expanding on, but different models do different things. So try to be creative though, because now I have maybe started down the path of, okay, I wanted a floating cityscape. I wanted really something to do with a city. Maybe it's urban and it's fast and things are going crazy. I want to be able to represent that now. I can go in and I can start down a new rabbit hole, essentially, of going and doing some crazy, crazy things. All right, so then think about storytelling. Infuse the storytelling into the prompt. So start simple, but then start to put in a little bit of the storytelling that you're trying to get created. And this is really good for DALL-E 3. If you're going in DALL-E 3, they like to have a little bit more of a storytelling. So now I'm going to say, create an image of a time-traveling library with books flying through portals to convey a sense of adventure and mystery. That's a storytelling, but it's very descriptive of what it is that I'm trying to create. And so when you go through and you start injecting this stuff, this is very important to getting really good detailed images. And one of the things I love, and I think you all, if you've played with this enough, realize that just as soon as you get the first rendition, even if it's Midjourney or DALL-E, it doesn't really matter. You start seeing things that you hadn't even thought of that are actually better than what you thought of. And then you can run down that trail to make even bigger and better things. It sparks creativity when you get started. So again, it's a process, because what you start with today is not necessarily going to be what you actually end up with, because you've just found something that's even better. And that's what it helps when you start to do this process. Now, after you infuse some storytelling and put that in there, the next thing you want to do is look at the way that you're instructing the model to portray whatever it is that you're doing. A perspective, different angles. looking up. I mean, can you imagine looking up and you want to see the blue sky and redwood trees from the redwood forest, and all you're seeing is the sun glistening through the trees, and you're laying on your back and you're looking straight up. If you want that image, you can get that image, but you just have to tell it all of those things that you just said. I just described what I'm actually wanting. And if I do that, then I'm going to get those great things. Different angles, especially when you're doing like maybe food, or you're doing a portrait view and you want it from the side angle. These are all things that help you. Close-ups. You want bird's eye views. These are what make the dynamic compositions that you're trying to put together that make incredible images really come out. Okay, so now think about different perspectives into your prompting. The next thing is to leverage color theory. So if you're taking notes on this, you're seeing that your prompt is growing in the process of going through it. So the first one is a simple process. The second one is I'm going to start to add a little bit of storytelling. I'm going to infuse a little bit of creativity. I'm going to combine prompts together. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to infuse my story, but then I'm going to go out and describe exactly how I want that camera angle to be. And now I'm going to go and leverage my color theory. So I'm going to use color combinations and contrasts. I'm going to use things like use a vibrant mix of color. And if you want to be specific, red and turquoise for a cyberpunk cityscape, okay, to create futuristic and energetic feel. All of this is just adding a little more detail and direction so that they are, that the models are starting to hone in on a little bit more about what your vision is really going to be about. So add some color theory. Add some keywords, the more descriptive words you find, that's even better. Vibrant. And then you want to pay a lot of attention to detail. Now, guys, I don't know if you've seen a lot of things out. I look for this when I see imagery now, just because, AI imagery is just like GPT-3. You can kind of find it if it's not being done right. But one of the things that you look for in detail is, number one, textures and little things that might add depth, because that's where the realism comes in, is in the depth of view of whatever it is that you're really trying to focus on. And then the textures that are on it, like the textures of the walls. Am I looking at a cartoon, or am I trying to be photorealistic? And if I'm trying to be photorealistic, those textures are important. So especially if I'm doing fabric, like if you want a specific fabric, then you have to be descriptive into the texture that you're trying to visually bring out. Now, the other thing about paying attention to detail is just like what we discussed earlier. 5 fingers is nice. 4 fingers and a thumb's better. So, I mean, I would like to make sure that I'm making my pictures really kind of fit. It was kind of funny. We were working on something, and some things you just can't ever really get right yet. And so Amy and I, my wife Amy and I, we were going through and we were trying to create a diver from a high dive diving into a pool. And it was crazy what we were getting. We were not only getting third legs and arms backwards and forward. We actually had a male body on a female upper torso diving in, and they were flip-flopped. I mean, it's like some things are just so crazy. Like, we save it because that's like the funniest thing I've ever seen. Is like, I should have done that intentionally just because that's kind of crazy. But it's like some things you just really just can't get right. And then what we did is we started being very descriptive about everything. And that's when we started to get really good images. And so pay very close attention to what it is that you're seeing, and then triple check your images before you take them. Make sure that everything is clean. You want to have, look at their teeth. If you're doing close-ups on faces, make sure their teeth are clean. Make sure that there's nothing, weird in their eyes, and that their hands, if they're showing hands, that their hands are right. Just pay attention to what you're doing, because last thing you want to do is take something out that just obviously looks AI and doesn't really help your image or reputation at that point. All right. Last thing, let's talk about style. You want to consider the style that you're going to be building these in. And so examples would be like minimalism, fantasy, surrealism, hyper photorealistic. These are styles that you can start to use. And let me ask you to say this. If you don't know exactly what styles you want, or what even our thoughts or like what are styles, ask Ruby. Ruby will tell you. She'll just tell you, like, here, give me 10 different styles that I can use in creating imagery, and she'll give them to you. And then you can go and start to try them. We have the prompting for Ask Ruby in the image area for that specific reason. Just ask her. She'll give it to you. She'll help you. You want to know what kind of color theory you can use? Ask her. She'll have her give you 10 different ways that you can invoke bold images or vibrant, bright images. How do you get a lot of color in your images? Anything that you can think of, you just ask her, and she's going to start to give you those prompts that will help build what you're trying to create. All of this then starts to go in to masterpieces that you can create. And we have created some incredible things already. I'm sitting here looking at an image that was created. This is Barcelona. You can see that it's got the basilica sitting up there in the top and all the beautiful churches. This was just a simple prompt to create in a vibrant tune fashion, what the city was. And I can do it for any city. It's amazing what you can come up with. So embrace the process, because perfecting the best image with AI often requires patience, and achieving it is very rare. That it's done on the very first shot. It's just not very likely that happens. Now, I will tell you, if you talk to James Smith or you talk to Sonia, people who have been using a lot of credits to go through and do a lot of imagery, they're going to get incredible pictures. Go to Flex Connection, see what they're doing. And the reason why is not because of any other thing besides the fact that they've just used it. They practice with it and they understand there's a process. And I love the fact I go into the Flex Connection now and I see what Sonia Hulse has done. I mean, she's incredible. I mean, some of the stuff is absolutely mind-boggling, and I just want to give kudos to her. I mean, she's incredible. She is the queen of face swap. I mean, and it's so good you would never know. And she just makes unbelievable images, and she's using it to help promote her business. And it's not just a meme. It's a way that she's using it to build her businesses. You can learn a lot in the Flex Connection, by the way, just by looking at what people are doing. But when you go through and you see what they're doing, it's about asking some questions too. If you're having some trouble making some great images, well, reach out to people in the Flex Connection. We love to share. Everybody's in there sharing. I know Sonia's been sharing. I know that everybody who's been creating these things are saying, hey, well, here's my prompt. And I'll just tell you how great Sonia is getting from when it first came out. I don't know, Sonia, if you even remember the time that we were sitting there trying to create 4 moose around a male moose around 1 cow moose, or I think it's what you call them. I don't even know what you call them, mises. But my point is that it wasn't that easy. And now you can go and she can do anything because of just doing it over and over and over. So understand that we're all learning as we go through the process. You have to be willing to go in and learn yourself. That's one of the things about Ruby that's so good. That's why FlexCast is so strong for people. Is that we get the chance to really teach you what to do. And if you're looking at this in the business now, because I'm going to start to transition to the business here in Flexonomics here in a second, but the good transition for this is understanding that between the ages of 30 and 65 around the world, a lot of people are in the workplace right now that their lives are about to completely change the way that they do things and the way the world is moving at a pace that they have never seen before. And they're trying to figure it out because they have to figure it out or they're going to get passed by. Guys, this is what Ruby is able to do. It's to bring people in and give them all the capabilities of the best the world has to offer in AI in one simple place that they can use it and they can go and be competitive. It's an equal playing field no matter where they are in their world. That's what you have your hands on. That's what we did this for. That's what part of the reason for us to take this to market is. And so take it to market in that same way. Now, I will say you can do some crazy stuff. I just want to show you a couple things I was playing with. I just love when you start getting into it, and I'm going to give you the prompts. Okay, guys, you can write down this prompt if you want. Corey, I guess I was going to say, I'm going to put the prompts on Tuesday's email that's coming out, so you don't have to have them. But write these prompts down if you want, because this is one of the prompts I used. I wanted a full body shot. I described the style of the artwork I wanted. I could describe the animal that I wanted it to be in. I put a style. I put in all the different color theory. I have just put in everything to be as detailed as I can. Okay. You guys can create amazing stuff. We're going to throw some more prompts. Now, I will tell you something super exciting about version 2 is that you actually will be able to have saved prompts. And we can actually push prompts, not just modules, but prompts that would actually let you go in, see the prompts, and manipulate those prompts. And so that's another great thing that's coming in version 2 that you all are going to be able to do. Now, I also use the exact same prompt. And this was in Midjourney that you see the one that's now, but this is what DALL-E 3 gave me. Completely different. This is why having all the different models in one place is so important. You might like this one better. You might like the last one better, but it doesn't really matter. It's like you have a choice because now you can see what you're looking for. Same prompt. And when we have Leonardo.AI, you're going to be able to do the same prompt there. SDXL, you'll be able to do the same thing there and choose models. There's so many things that you can do, but having them all in one place is super, super important. Think about, well, I think I'm going to start leading out with some more tips about version 2, but we're releasing IntelliChat. What is IntelliChat? Well, it's all the major world leaders when it comes to AI in one place, where you can go through and use Claude 3, Opus, Sonnet, Haiku, GPT-4 Turbo, GPT-3.5. Use Cohere with search, Cohere with documents. You can do everything that you can possibly want in one place. And that's what separates us from everything else, is that we can combine the world's best. We don't have to settle for what is being developed in our environment, but we can bring the world's environment into one place. And that is what makes us there. Yes, Gemini's coming. Gemini Pro will be there. You're also going to be able to go into Bing. You're going to do all the major ones that are out there. And let me tell you, in the IntelliChat, you want to make sure you don't have a hallucination going on. It's easy. Run it on Claude, run it on GPT-4, run it on Gemini Pro. You're going to be able to see which ones are right. But I love being able to think about how I can go and create content if I have the best of the best of the best of the best, and I can choose from it all. It's pretty powerful. And just wait when you do the same thing for imagery. What if you had over 1,000 different voices to create voiceovers? That's insane. What if I can take it into 29 different languages with a click of a button? Like, it's incredible what version 2 is going to do for us.